headlines, hundreds still missing after Boko Haram attack in Borno. Body of benches sanctions 17 lawyers over professional misconduct. Nigerians demand transparency on stamp duty deduction. And on the foreign scene, Niger Republic pulls plug on mining companies, UK oil firms. Hello and welcome to News Updates on Trust TV. I am Hawa Adamikiawa. Now the news in detail, starting with security matters. A disturbing video has emerged showing Boko Haram claiming control of Goza, Borno State. In the footage, the group's rapid commander threatens to hold Eid prayers in the town, signaling their continued show of force. Now, analysts say the attacks linked to operations from Boko Haram's Borno State headquarters and the Sadiku area appear coordinated. The assault, which occurred around midnight on Wednesday, involved the insurgents storming a military base before attacking civilians, killing several soldiers and community leaders, including the chief imam, and burning homes and property. Suspected Boko Haram militants also abducted more than 300 residents. Thousands of survivors fled to neighboring Polka community, with many sleeping in schools and on roads under dire conditions, while over 100 people remain missing. The Nigerian military responded with airstrikes, killing dozens of insurgents, though the full scale of casualties and abductions is still being verified. State authorities have dispatched food, blankets and healthcare teams as Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Y.D. Shuaibi prepares to visit the community to assess the situation.
Muna jama'atar da suna lidawar da wanda hada wannan mai gaske jagorancin imam abu da gashi yau Allah ya kawo mu cikin goshe insha Allah za mu canja mata suna mu zo mu yi in Allah ya yarda sallar idi a goshe za mu yi.
Now moving to Kano State, the police command has arrested a suspect for circulating inflammatory audio and video clips aimed at inciting public disorder. Now, Commissioner of Police Ibrahim Adamu Bakuri said the suspect is currently under interrogation and will face the full weight of the law once investigations are concluded. He condemned the spread of false information and warned that anyone involved in such acts would be prosecuted. Also addressing journalists, Commissioner for Information Abdullahi Waya urged community leaders, religious figures and traditional rulers to promote peace and understanding among residents. Authorities assured the public that adequate security measures are in place, stressing that there is no cause for alarm.
The command will not tolerate any form of hate speech, incitement or violence. Meanwhile, adequate security measures have been put in place to prevent any breach of peace and ensure the safety of all residents. The command is working closely with other security agencies to monitor the situation and respond promptly to any incident and assure the public that there is no cause for alarm.
The rumor that has been going on and been circulated, especially on social media, regarding a plan by some individuals who are hell-bent on disrupting the peace of the state. So much hell-bent that they're spreading the rumors that there's going to be a process tomorrow, which is meant to disrupt the commercial and economic activities in the state. As far as the Kano State government is concerned, we are doing everything possible to ensure that this situation is under control, and we are also trying to counter this kind of narrative which has for long been going on in the state.
In another update, a federal high court in Abuja has granted bail to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, his wife Asabe Bashir, and their son Abdulaziz Malami. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik granted each of the defendants bail in the sum of 200 million naira with two sureties in like sum. As part of the bail conditions, the court ordered that one of the sureties must deposit title deeds of properties located in either Maitama or Asokoro, both highbrow districts of Abuja. The court also directed the defendants to deposit their international passports with the court. Pending the fulfillment of the bail conditions, the defendants are to remain in the custody of the Nigerian Correctional Service. Justice Abdulmalik subsequently adjourned the matter until March 16th for the commencement of the trial. Now, the body of benchers has sanctioned 17 lawyers over professional misconduct, handing down suspensions ranging from 2 to 5 years. The announcement was made during the body of benchers annual lecture and the presentation of the 2025 report of the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee in Abuja. The event was attended by key figures in the legal profession, including the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekere Ekun, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Ifam Osigwe. The conference, which also reviewed issues of ethics and mentorship in the legal profession, highlighted growing concerns over misconduct among lawyers. Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission disclosed that more than 100 senior lawyers are currently being prosecuted by the Commission over alleged financial fraud. Participants at the lecture stressed the need to strengthen discipline, uphold ethics, and promote professionalism with Nigeria's legal profession. Now moving to Lagos State, a high court has continued hearing the murder case involving two domestic staff accused of killing their employer, Arabim Chuchu Ajumogobia. The defendants, Abigail Peter, a housemaid, and Olusegun Olatunji, the deceased driver, are standing trial for allegedly conspiring to murder their boss in July 2024 at her family residence in Parkview Estate, Ikoyi. During Thursday's proceedings before Justice Ibironke Harrison, an investigating police officer, DSP Gafar Oderinde, presented a video recording of the suspects shortly after their arrest. The court heard that the victim's body was discovered at the entrance of her parents' home, while the estate security guard had allegedly been poisoned and a security dog tied up during the attack. Police also told the court that laptops, human hair, and blood-stained clothing recovered from the suspects had been kept as exhibits, with some items sent for forensic DNA analysis. The case has been adjourned until March 12th for cross-examination of the prosecution witness. Now, every day, Nigerians see deductions from their accounts for transfers, deposits, and payments. One charge that often goes unnoticed, the stamp duty. Across the country, every transaction, electronic or in person, attracts this fee. While 15 naira may seem small, across millions of daily transactions, the total adds up. On the streets of Lagos, Nigerians are calling for accountability and transparency on how this revenue is used up. The report.
For years, Nigerians have watched as various banking charges appear on their phones daily. From transfer fees to service charges, deductions have become a normal part of everyday financial activity. But one charge has raised concern: the stamp duty. Collected by the federal government, it applies to certain financial transactions. For every transaction of 10,000 naira and above, an additional 15 naira is deducted. While 15 naira may seem small, when multiplied across millions of transactions every day, the revenue becomes significant. Speaking on the streets of Lagos, Nigerians are questioning why, with such large amounts collected daily from both rich and poor citizens, the government still borrows from other countries. In a country where every naira counts, many believe the government owes its citizens clarity on how these deductions are used to improve public services and infrastructure.
One thing is clear. In every society, there are rules. If the rule of the government is that we should pay stamp duty, you have to pay. The only thing we we will do as citizens is to make sure that the money is being used for the purpose it is meant for. Are you with me? Because there are many responsibilities that the government will have to carry out. We have to talk about payment of salary for the security people, road repairs, and many other things. The charging is too much. And in loading days, not like this. Due to what is happening now in our country now, that charging is too much. It's too much. It's too much. All past governments, they are not charging us like this. So we don't know what's happening. And our source of income is very low.
The point is that Nigerians don't ask the right questions, all right? So over a period of how many years, that stamp duty charge has persisted on every account, on every transaction that has happened. You get enormous deductions. Of course, the bank charge theirs, and then there is VAT to pay as well as the stamp duty. Nigerians are not asking the right questions. I think our loan right now is over how many trillions?
Common man has been he has always been the person that at the end that is suffering at the end of every government policy. There is no accountability on the part of the government as to where the 50 naira that is taken from our account is taken to. There is no publication. We cannot access how our money is being spent.
Stamp duty may seem like just 15 naira per transaction, but across millions of Nigerians, it represents a substantial public resource. As daily financial activities continue, citizens are calling for clear information on how this revenue benefits the nation for everyone, rich and poor, including students.
In other news, Nigeria is again grappling with the major electricity supply crisis, with many communities facing long outages and fewer hours of power each day. The situation is hitting homes and businesses hard as small-scale operators turn to costly alternatives just to stay open. In the Federal Capital Territory, artisans and welders who depend on steady electricity say the worsening supply is driving up their daily expenses and putting pressure on their livelihoods. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The drop in electricity supply across Nigeria is taking a toll on residents and small businesses. In Abuja, the nation's capital, erratic power supply has become part of daily life for many artisans. At welding workshops across the city, work often stops the moment power from the national grid goes off to keep their businesses running. Many welders say they now rely on petrol generators, but running those generators comes at a high cost. In the Jabi area of the FCT, some artisans say they now spend between 7,000 and 10,000 naira every day on petrol to power their equipment.
I'm having seriously challenge about NEPA light, electricity light. So if by God we can get improvement from electricity, I will be one of the first person to be very happy so that I can improve my job.
The fuel consumption is too much. The electricity is very, very important. We need them because they help us in whatever we do. We can't be starting generator every day. You know the cost of fuel now.
As artisans struggle to cope with the outages, some residents blame faulty transmission lines and unstable supply for plunging their neighborhoods into darkness.
So I'm using Bade, which I'm supposed to have that light 24 hours because I'm paying for it. You understand? Which by now, as I'm talking to you like this, since on Sunday evening, our lights have issue. We asked, they say na transformer. And nobody go there since that time to even do anything about it. You know, which is very bad. Today is Thursday. More than like 4 days now, we are in darkness in that area.
Energy experts say the problem goes beyond local distribution faults and reflects deeper challenges within Nigeria's power generation system. One analyst links the current nationwide drop in electricity supply to a serious shortage of gas-feeding thermal power plants, which produce most of the country's electricity. Industry figures show that many plants are currently receiving less than 43% of the gas needed to operate at full capacity. The shortfall is tied to several issues, including upstream production constraints, pipeline vandalism, and outstanding debt owed by power generation companies to gas suppliers.
But the solution is clear. If we are owing a major player in the sector, make arrangement to pay them so that they can continue to supply gas, because gas is a major component of electricity generation. If the generating companies cannot get gas, it means that they cannot fire their plants, and if they cannot fire their plants, you cannot push electricity into the grid.
Nigeria has already recorded 2 national grid collapses this year, on January 23rd and January 27th, blamed largely on technical fault and aging transmission infrastructure. As of 2026, Nigeria's operational electricity generation stands at about 4,985.70 megawatts, far below the country's installed capacity of 13,625 megawatts. Although the national transmission grid has a technical capacity of about 8,700 megawatts, gas shortages and infrastructure damage continue to limit actual output. Power generation has also been affected by low water levels at major hydroelectric dams, including Kainji Dam, Jeba Dam, and Shiroro Dam. Until electricity supply improves, many small business owners say they will keep relying on generators despite the rising cost of fuel just to keep their work going. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And moving on, the chairman and CEO of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Ismail Abba, has pledged to improve efficiency in delivering services to Nigerian pilgrims for the upcoming Hajj. Speaking in Abuja during a strategic meeting with officials of Saudi-based service provider Masharik al-Dhahabiyah, Abba said lessons had been learnt from the 2025 Hajj, including data mismatches between flight manifests, contract numbers and accommodation allocations. Both parties agreed to prioritize strict visa processing timelines, accurate data uploads and verification of accommodation contracts before departure. NACON also plans intensified compliance checks at departure centres and the creation of a joint situation room to provide real-time updates and swiftly resolve operational issues. The engagement forms part of the Commission's broader strategy to ensure a smooth and well-coordinated Hajj operation for Nigerian pilgrims. You're watching news updates on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Middle East war enters 7th day as Israel strikes Beirut. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching news updates on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Hundreds still missing after Boko Haram attack in Borno. And a body of benchers sanctions 17 lawyers over professional misconduct. Now moving on to other stories, the widening Middle East conflict involving Iran and Israel has entered its 7th day with fighting spreading across several parts of the region. Israeli forces launched fresh airstrikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut after issuing an evacuation warning to residents, urging them to leave immediately to avoid the attacks targeting Hezbollah positions. The conflict has drawn in other countries, with tensions reported as far as Azerbaijan and the coast of Sri Lanka, where a United States submarine reportedly sank an Iranian warship. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has dismissed the possibility of Mujtaba Khamenei succeeding his late father. Iran's former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, insisting Washington should have a role in shaping Iran's leadership. Lebanese authorities say at least 123 people have been killed and more than 90,000 displaced since fighting spread into Lebanon earlier this week. Regional tensions have also reached Gulf states, with missile interceptions reported in Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain as the war continues to escalate. In other news, the World Health Organization has suspended operations at its global emergency logistics hub in Dubai due to escalating tensions in the Middle East. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the disruption follows the conflict triggered by recent attacks involving the United States and Israel against Iran. Now, according to the agency, insecurity, airspace closures and restrictions around the Strait of Hormuz have forced the temporary halt of operations at the critical supply hub. The facility processed more than 500 emergency health shipments to 75 countries last year. Officials say the disruption is now blocking access to about $18 million in humanitarian health supplies, while additional shipments cannot reach the hub. The World Health Organization warned the situation could affect emergency medical deliveries to more than 25 countries, including medicines destined for the conflict-hit Gaza Strip. The agency says it is exploring alternative supply routes through other logistics centers in Nairobi, Dakar, Brindisi as the crisis continues. Now on to business. Imported petrol has once again become cheaper than fuel from the Dangote refinery despite the federal government's Naira for crude supply arrangement. According to data released by the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria, the landing cost of imported petrol stood at 809 Naira, 83 kobo per litre as of March 2nd. In contrast, the ex-depot price at the Dangote refinery rose to 874 Naira per litre after the plant increased its gantry price by 100 Naira, citing rising crude oil prices linked to tensions in the Middle East. This means imported petrol is about 64 Naira cheaper per litre than Dangote's product. The price adjustment has pushed pump prices higher across filling stations in Abuja and neighboring states, where petrol now sells between 960 and 980 Naira per litre. Industry observers say the development reflects an ongoing price war in Nigeria's downstream oil sector, with consumers bearing the impact of persistent global crude price volatility. Now on to the foreign scene. Authorities in Niger have cancelled the concessions of 3 gold mining companies and rejected a license extension request from a British oil firm, citing failure to meet contractual obligations. Now, in a statement on Thursday, the country's ruling military government said concessions granted between 2017 and 2020 to mining firms Komini, Afrio and Ikomin had been revoked. The government said the companies failed to honour key commitments, including payment of taxes, submission of annual technical and financial reports, and compliance with environmental regulations. Niger, a major producer of uranium, gold and oil, has been under military rule since the 2023 Niger coup d'etat, with the junta increasingly asserting control over the country's natural resources. Officials also denied a request by British firm Savannah Energy to extend its exploration and drilling license in the country's southeast. The government said the company had not fully complied with an output sharing contract covering 4 oil blocks in the Agadem Rift Basin, Nigeria's main oil-producing region, where the company says it recently made a significant oil discovery. On to the sporting arena. Argentina's superstar Lionel Messi and his Inter Miami CF teammates were honoured at the White House on Thursday by President Donald Trump for their 2025 MLS Cup triumph. Messi was joined by coach Javier Mascherano and co-owner Jorge Mas as Trump praised their victories, including the MLS Cup 3-1 win over Vancouver Whitecaps and a historic 2-1 Club World Cup triumph against Portuguese side Porto. Trump also drew comparisons to Brazilian legend Pelé, saying Messi may even surpass him, and highlighted other stars like Luis Suarez and Rodrigo de Paul. Mas credited the team's rise since its 2020 debut to hard work, sacrifice and dreams, noting that their success has transformed soccer culture in the United States. The ceremony included gift exchanges, with Messi presenting a number 47 jersey in honor of Trump's status as the nation's 47th president. And with that, we've come to the end of News Updates on Trust TV. Make sure you follow us across all media platforms and watch our YouTube live stream for more news. I'm Hawa Adam Kiawa. Thank you for watching.